This is Banana High lore, so far. It all started when a kid named Cassian was unable to prevent a cat from knocking a jar off the counter. He spotted this cat about to perform the action, and ran to stop him. Though before he could reach the cat, he got a cramp and fell. The cat knocked the jar off the counter and it shattered. The jar was of extreme significance. It was an ancient artifact worth more than the boarding house in which Cassian lived. Those in charge blamed Cassian for the jar's destruction, and he was cast out. It could have been prevented if he didn't have a severe lack of bananas in his diet. From that day forward, Cassian ate an ungodly amount of bananas, legally obtained or not. The sheer amount of potassium within the large amount of bananas which he ate irradiated him and gave him radioactive banana powers. When Cassian realized the strength potassium bestowed upon him, he believed that he could upgrade the human race with potassium power. Cassian then used his power to perform several heists on top-secret organizations in order to obtain the technology and funding to build the Banana Fleet. The ships in the Banana Fleet are autopiloted by an AI that Cassian created. The fleet looked like regular spaceships when first built, but Cassian used his bananification power to give them the appearance of comically large banana bunches. He used this fleet to perform one last heist to get the resources for the Banana Mothership, which Cassian resides in. Later on, Cassian decided to give himself a new name, one that is fitting to what he does. He named himself Potassian. Potassian's first strike was on a top-secret lab in England. Along with many others, a brilliant man by the name of Dr. Davies worked in this lab. Dr. Davies was a brilliant but also rather mad scientist. When Potassian arrived, Dr. Davies was the only one who wasn't freaking out. He just looked up at the mothership and said, "Oh, what lovely bananas!" Well, he almost finished that sentence. He was cut off somewhere around "bana." This was because Potassian had already begun exposing them to large amounts of potassium in the only way he saw fit. He had begun using his power to transform the lab into a giant banana. What Potassian did not know, or really he didn't actually care about, was that not everyone in the world could survive the large amounts of potassium like he did. Only a select few on Earth have the genes for potassium power. Every soul in the lab perished from the high levels of radiation, all except for Dr. Davies. But parts of his body were bananified along with the building. Had Potassian not found him in time, Dr. Davies would have perished as well. Potassian used the technology at his disposal to rebuild Dr. Davies. Not only did Dr. Davies now have his superior intelligence and newfound potassium power, but he was now a powerful cyborg as well. Dr. Davies was baffled by the potassium power and began studying it. He was too crazy to care about the circumstances that led to this, though. An Academy of Wizards took notice of Potassian's deeds and began coming up with ways of stopping him. But before they had a complete plan, Potassian moved his fleet to the United States of America, where he got bored and demanded money from a school. They were obviously unable to comply, and he bananified the school as he had already planned to do. Several unnamed people were able to escape before the bananification. The few who did not escape perished, all except for a student named Brandon, who carried the genes for potassium power. But Brandon was driven insane by the sight of his friends and fellow classmates becoming bananified. Potassian used this to his advantage and convinced Brandon to serve him. Somehow, the school was rebuilt somewhere around a year later. This angered Potassian, for they had wasted the potassium of the banana. He prepared to bananify the school once again. 2 people ran out of the school before the bananification. Their names were Swellamy and Caesar. Potassian saw them trying to escape and attempted to drop a comically large banana on them. It missed Swellamy but squashed Caesar flat. Man, I need to blow my nose. After a year or so of Swellamy mourning the loss of his childhood friend, Swellamy swore that he would get revenge on whoever did this. Swellamy was contacted by Lord Clariton, the wizard in charge of all wizard academies. Lord Clariton trained him in the ways of magic and led him away from the path of revenge. Although Swellamy still wishes to bring Potassian and his minions to justice. Many years down the line, Swellamy became one of the highest-ranking wizards among the academies. He even had a pupil by the name of Throckmorton. Swellamy and Throckmorton were contacted by Lord Clariton to save a school from Dr. Davies and Brandon, who were sent by Potassion to prepare it for bananification. Dr. Davies wasn't entirely there during this mission. Potassion was controlling him remotely so that he could monitor their work and bark orders. Swellamy and Throckmorton entered the building, and Brandon immediately attacked. Brandon was unable to fight them at the same time and fled downstairs. Brandon received a banana from Dr. Davies to increase his potassium power, but he was defeated all the same. And then Potassion had Dr. Davies fight Swellamy and Throckmorton. Throckmorton was killed, and Swellamy destroyed Dr. Davies. Now that was two people Potassion's forces had taken from him. Although Dr. Davies' body was destroyed, he did not perish. His conscience was transferred to the mothership, where he was given a new body. Another year has passed, and Potassion plans to bananify another school. Brandon is sent alone to plant the beacon that signals Potassion to move in. Before I go any further, let me explain what these beacons are for. Potassion has the power to turn objects into bananas of the same scale. But, when bananifying large buildings such as a high school, he must plant these special beacons within them in order to magnify his power. Now then, Brandon planted the beacon, but Lord Clariton foresaw this and sent the mighty wizard Zyrtec to stop Brandon. The wizard lacked potassium in his diet and cramped up. Brandon left the building before the mothership arrived. Before the school was bananified, Zyrtec saw a vision of an orange cat. The vision faded, and the school was bananified with Zyrtec in it. After this bananification, Lord Clariton's forces drove back Potassion and his fleet. They were back within a year. Potassion sent Dr. Davies to plant a banana beacon at another high school so that it could be bananified. Lord Clariton foresaw this and sent Swellamy alone. He was the only one who ever bested Dr. Davies. Dr. Davies was defeated, and the school was saved. This only further angered Potassion. He declared war on the school, which kept getting rebuilt, and on Swellamy and all who oppose him. Somewhere in between Banana High 4 and 5, Potassion's cousin Decion, who was a mischievous wizard of loud noise, was seeking a pupil. He came across Lord Clariton's distant cousin, who was called Green Guy. While Decion tried to convince Green Guy to allow him to train him in the art of the kazoo magic, he made the mistake of mentioning that he prefers the harmonica. This angered Decion, and he used his kazoo magic to send Green Guy to Brazil, who is still there as of writing this. That is the lore of Banana High so far.